They've got to understand there is going to be a lot of media scrutiny straight away, and it's going to be a whirlwind. Once it's out, it's out.
You know, I would suggest a lot of them would not want to come out at the moment because they know what might be coming.
The media reaction will be huge when it happens. I don't think you can get away from that.
Footballers today have become the rock stars of the 60s, 70s, 80s and beyond.
Look at the media and look at how they hound people that they don't like.
There's other ways to abuse now.
Social media, that's a big issue because people can hide behind a curtain.
I'm not going to say I didn't receive death threats.
I think there'll be, a proper Twitter meltdown.
The idea of them having control of the narrative is really significant.
You're listening to Kick Off on TalkSport. We are discussing whether an LGBTQ plus person will come out openly in the men's professional game in England.
I'm Lee Clayton. I'm head of TalkSport, the biggest sports radio station in the world. The way the media operates has shifted, certainly from the days of Justin Fashanu, who found himself in a position where he lost control of that narrative. The difference with how the media reported Justin Fashanu is I felt that there was almost like an outrage around it. People felt uncomfortable about it, and therefore nobody was really able to cope with it. Now I think that any player who comes out will have a media plan, will have people around him helping him to support the announcement, choosing the path in which they tread. I don't think you'll find a situation where it will be leaked and perhaps, as in the past, newspapers would rush to try to break the story.
I think largely you're more likely to see somebody controlling the narrative themselves and sharing the news via their own social media. It's having your own profile and personality and being able to get the message across that you want to. Players are increasingly recognising the power of their individual platform. A lot of them have higher readerships than a lot of newspapers have, and traditional media is struggling to keep up. For players, to be able to control the narrative themselves and not have to rely on those previous ways of getting news out to people, that's, we're going to see much more of that. I think we're already seeing it.
Whew. Hi everyone, it's Josh Cavalli here. I'm at my home here in Adelaide. There's something personal that I need to share with everyone. I'm a footballer and I'm gay.
What's it going to be like if someone's in the top tier in the country? The pressure is going to be huge. Look at us now. We're talking about this now, and I'm in the 8th tier of the game, and there's interest to come and speak to me.
Premier League touches everywhere. It is the biggest league and the biggest sport in the whole world. Before they do it, they've got to understand that because of where we are in this day and age, there is going to be a lot of media scrutiny straight away, and it's going to be a whirlwind because it's not just thinking, well, maybe I'm going to be reaching out to a couple of countries over this side of the world. It literally is everyone. So once it's out, and the public eye, the world eye is going to be on me.
Look at the media and look at how they hound people that they don't like. All it will take is for a gay player to come out, have a few bad games or whatnot, and I guarantee they'll start piling on. And that pressure will build on you. There's not going to be out-and-out homophobia. It's just the subtlety of how things are written. It's the subtlety of the headline, the different way players are treated in the same situation, and that was what the issue will be.
There are people who will not like this, who don't like gay people, who think it's fine, but just keep it to yourself. There's no reason why those people, one or two of those people, won't pop up on a website or in a newspaper or in a magazine.
I would say one of the worst ways to come out would be to get caught out by the media. It's very intrusive. It's something that, you don't have control over, so you feel helpless. Within the roadmap that you create, there has to be contingency for the fact that, it could get leaked.
Unfortunately, we do have tabloids that want to cast aspersions on who potentially, is a gay individual within football. That does nothing to support these individuals. It's really important that you're in control of the story,
You only release what you want to talk about, and that, you plan it. And so that when you're comfortable and you're ready, you can press the green button. It's not somebody forcing you. Trust yourself, believe in your own story, believe in where you want to go and why you want to do it. And that roadmap will generally be made for you.
I think historically we've seen the press play a negative role in helping drive this forward, which doesn't create an environment for that player to want to come out. They've created an issue before the players even had the opportunity to do something about it. It's a powerful message and it needs to be treated respectfully. You have to be selective in who you want to inform to share that story. You have to trust them and you have to trust that they're going to share this in the most positive of lights because it's a positive thing.
It's the way in which we talk about this and the way in which they come out, the way they're able to control their own stories without it being taken away from them and misconstrued. That will essentially set the tone for the future.
John Holmes had reached out to an LGBTQ plus football club asking for any individuals that wanted to just tell their story about being openly gay in football. Somebody passed his contact details on and I reached out at the time. And that was the start of the journey, I think. It was that security that he gave to me to just sit down and talk over a coffee in a safe and secure environment and tell him how I felt, where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And once I'd spoken to John, we took the leap of faith together, having then spoken to the Premier League and the Football Association. And it was planned. It wasn't do the story, next day the story's released. It took 3 or 4 months for John to write the story, write the piece. We kept editing it and making sure that I was happy. And that sort of nurtured me to sort of then tell my story in August 2017.
The more diverse people you get in a newsroom, the more likely you are to not write and publish things with the wrong tone, because you get them in front of eyes of people who go, oh, hang on, no, you can't say that. That's really offensive, that phrase. Or, whoa, the aspect that you're not considering is this, 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 and this. And I do think that is getting better, but it's still a long, long way to go until you've got fully diverse newsrooms, especially at more senior level.
Like any news story, really. It'll go wild probably for a week or two, and then it'll start to quieten down.
Any story's kind of length of run completely depends on what the next story is. Best example of this being, I thought that when London won the Olympics bid, it would be all anyone talked about for like 5 days, and the next day was the London bombings, and no one ever talked about the Olympics again for like months.
The timing of the announcement, of course, is hugely important. And when's the player's next game? So is it something that happens at the end of a season? When football's finished, the player can then pack his bags and go away on holiday? Or is it something that happens mid-season, and then naturally what will follow from that is an interest in the next game? The scrutiny, the spotlight, how did that player play? And so it does put a pressure and a focus on that individual in the same way as if there's been a big announcement or a big signing, perhaps, and it's your first game and the spotlight's on you and you really want to deliver for your club. I see something similar to that.
It's okay in the middle of the summer and there's no football on and there's no negative reaction. Then in the middle of the winter when your team's been affected by something that individual's done, I'm sure then it could be a lonely place to be for that person.
We are discussing whether an LGBTQ plus person will come out openly in the men's professional game in England. What are the hurdles in there? I think one of the biggest ones might be social media.
I think Twitter will go mad. I think there'll be, a proper Twitter meltdown.
Whether people admit it or they don't, everyone looks at their social media. I think that people who are probably contemplating coming out might be scared of what people will say, what they might be called. As wrong as it is for people to call people names and to judge them because of that, social media gives people an anonymous platform to do it. They can say things without being reprimanded, and it is hard to track people.
The nature of social media makes it difficult for players to be able to talk openly about any conversation without receiving abuse. You know, if you have an opinion in football, you're going to get a lot of comments about it. Some will be positive and some will be negative. The difference with the negative opinions is that it has impact and connotations on anybody who's reading it, whether that be the individual themselves who've been targeted or whether that be other young people who are looking at it as a black person, as a gay person, and thinking, oh, all these negative comments, I don't want anything to do with this sport, or I don't want to be able to compete as my authentic self in this sport.
I think as players you learn to kind of live with it and learn how to deal with it, because I know a few years ago I used to read everything that was said about me after a game and used to think, oh God, like, is that what they really think? Now I've kind of learned to brush it off, so I think you kind of develop that thick skin the more or the longer you're in the game. But it shouldn't be that way, really. I mean, you shouldn't have to put up with some of the things that I said.
I'm not going to say I didn't receive negative comments and I didn't receive death threats. It is hard to not read the comments and feel down about them. But at the same time, if you remember that some of these people are insignificant to who you are and where you're going, are they close friends? No. Are they family? No.
I know a lot of players let other people or companies handle their social media. I think that has a positive effect in the terms of you don't see everything that's being kind of thrown back at you. Maybe do that, but while still being authentic when you put things out. So there's a fine balance. It is hard to find that balance, but learning to kind of take things with a pinch of salt and not look at things and things like that, I think that's a big thing.
You can't control what someone else thinks about you. They have to learn to trust themselves, because really what is important is what they think about themselves. And there will always be, with the platforms that we have out there, someone who will write something or say something anonymously that will be vindictive and to deliberately hurt you. You know, you have to be strong. You have to be very focused to be judged every minute of every day. That's what football is.
There's a lot of negatives about social media. You can also spread positivity and acceptance. The acceptance has removed some of the fear. And actually, it's full flipped on its head. The minority are the racists, are the homophobes, are the sexists. So they're a lot quieter because they're cowards. Ultimately, they are cowards. And now they're massively outnumbered. And I think it's a perfect time for people to be able to actually embrace who they are and live the life that they want to live.
Social media can be used for so much good, but then on the flip side, how do we eradicate the abuse? And we can all hide behind the social media aspect of the abuse, but it's our society that is the issue. We've got to be realistic and be aware that individuals that are coming out, it's going to be difficult for them. Not everyone's going to react the way you and I would or you would imagine, and they've got to be prepared for that. And a lot of things you're not prepared until it happens. And that's just the sad reality of it. It's difficult that there are narrow-minded people out there, and we're seeing that in games for England. We've seen the fact that we're all one when it's going well, and then as soon as it goes bad, people just want to use stuff that isn't in your control to harm you. I don't think that's going anywhere in our society yet. I honestly don't believe we're at a place where that won't be an issue.